In the previous lecture, we learned about form element. In this lecture, we're going to be looking at form elements. So we're going to be looking at several form elements. One of the mostly used form elements is the input element, since it can be specified in different types, and the attribute that determines it is the type attribute. So we're going to create a form first. And I'm just gonna add the action attribute and the method attribute. Okay, so we're gonna define and we're gonna create the input element, and the input element is a self-closing tag. Okay, then we're gonna add type attribute. Okay, so the first type that we're gonna be looking at is the button. Okay, the button, I'm gonna add a value also so we can just kind of see. I'm gonna say just button. So I'm gonna save it and refresh the browser. And there is the button. Well, this button, it's a button with no predefined behavior. Okay, so the only way you can use it is if you use JavaScript with it. Okay, now I'm gonna, let me see here. I'm gonna create a break line here and create another one. Okay, now I'm gonna create another input element, and I'm gonna add checkbox. But before I add the checkbox, I wanna copy the whole element with the break lines. Now I'm gonna add the checkbox, save it and refresh the browser, and there you have your checkbox. And the checkbox allows to select or deselect values, right? Okay. Now I'm gonna just paste in what I had previously copied, and I'm gonna add a color type. Now the color, it's a new HTML attribute or type. Okay, let's refresh the page, and here you can just click on it, and you can select any color you wish. Okay, let's see a green color. Click OK, and there is the color that you um, chose. Okay, now I'm gonna add. I'm gonna paste. I'm gonna add the date, and this is also an new HTML type. On this one, a date basically is used to define a date without time. Okay, you can open these at the box there and choose a date. Next, we have the date time, I believe. Let me see. Date time local. Save it, refresh, and yep. You can choose a date and a time here just by clicking in here, okay? And then go up or down with these arrows, okay? Next we have the email. This is a new attribute in, a new type in HTML5. And of course, email input is just to enter an email address. Okay, now we have the file. The file lets the user to select a file. File types can be specified as default to be selected if the accept attribute is defined. So here you can choose a file, of course. Okay. Next we have hidden, and with this one, it's not visible to the user. So and it's used to send values to the web server. That's all it does. Next we have the image, and it's basically a submit button. There it is. It's a submit button that lets you add an image, but the source attribute with the image location must be defined. Okay. Next we have the month. This is a new attribute, no, a new type of HTML5. On this one, month, you can just enter a month and a year with no time zone. Okay, just the month and the year. Next we have the number. This is another a new HTML5 type. Oh man, I want to keep saying attribute for some reason. Okay, the month, no, excuse me, the number is used to enter number. Then we have password. Of course, the password is used to enter text, which is replaced by asterisks or circles. Then we have the radio. I know many of you have seen radio buttons. So a radio button allows you to select single value out of multiple choices. So then next we have the range. And this is a range input. Okay, so the range lets the user to specify a numeric value. By default, a slider represents the input element. Okay. Next, we have the reset. I'm gonna add a value to it. Otherwise, you won't see anything but just a gray box. So I'm just gonna reset, refresh, and there you have it. What the reset button is used to reset the whole form data to its default values. Next we have the search. This is a new HTML type, and it's just like a basic input, a text input, text field. The search is used to enter search strings or queries. Okay. Next we have the submit button, and I'm gonna add a value to it also. And I'm just gonna say submit, refresh, and the submit will basically submit the form values. And then we have the TEL, which stands for telephone type, and it's used to enter a telephone number. Okay. But of course, you can enter also letters. Okay. Next is the text. This input, the text, is the most commonly used. Okay, um, that's what we used to use, years back. Just text input. If we wanted to use it for email, and in fact, there's still developers that do it. That uses the text field, the text type. Um, yeah. So we have next we have the time. This is a new HTML5 type, and the type, you can just click on the first option here, then click on the arrow, and it will help you enter a time um, with no time zone. Next, we have the URL. This is a new type from HTML5. And well, here you can just enter a URL. Okay. Next, we have week in the last type. This is a new HTML5 type. And here you can just choose a week. There you go. We have gone through all input types, and this is it for this lecture. In the next lecture, we're gonna look at some more form elements, but we're gonna focus on the select element.